Hello, avid readers, book nerds, and casual observers, and welcome to the read along brought to you by the Lit Round Table. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Anna, and today we're talking about The Light of the Midnight Stars by Rena Rossner. Welcome to part 7.
Welcome. Everything is ash.
Yes, a little bit of foreshadowing.
Everything is awful. A couple people say that in this section of reading, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But tell us about the epigraph.
All I have for the epigraph is that the family is in the forest.
Yeah, they ran away. Into the forest they go. Mm-hmm. They break the mold a little bit with this section, and we could start off with Levana.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Levana. And this is the longest section she's ever had.
And it's quite long.
Yeah, covers some ground.
Mm-hmm.
Basically just walking us through her perspective of events, all the craziness that's happening. They're in the scary forest. She's seeing Hannah racked with grief.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah is just constantly on the lookout, waiting for Gabriel to come back, and he never does. Abba is he tries to hunt and gets a rabbit for them to eat, but it's not kosher, but nobody says anything. But then Hannah just starts it's sicking up everywhere.
It's the minute he lights the fire.
Yeah.
He lights the fire to cook the rabbit, and then she gets very ill.
Mm-hmm.
And so he puts it out and goes back into the forest. And they don't eat.
Yeah. It says he puts his fist in his mouth like he's trying, like he wants to scream, but he's not. Everybody is just the emotions are so raw, and everyone is just so grief stricken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Emma is really having to pick up. I think one of the things that
well, that's later. That's in Sarah's. I wrote it down.
That's Sarah's. I thought it was Levana, but anyway.
No, Levana's observation of Emma is that she's shivering and having a really hard time on the journey, on the physical walk. She's shaking a lot and needing to take breaks. I have noted that she's asking how the stars can shine even in the dark and the ash. She's really wrestling with how good can still exist in the midst of this.
Mm-hmm.
Her observation of Sarah is that she's literally fuming and smoking.
Yeah.
And towards the end of her section, she follows Abba into the forest and then sees him transform, which is the first time she's ever seen anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was she cuddled up to him for warmth, and then once he thought she was asleep, he wandered off. Sarah tried to follow him though, but then didn't. Mom stopped her from following him because she was leaving scorch marks on the ground.
Yeah, I think that's when the rabbit happens.
Oh, is that the rabbit thing?
I think so.
I just thought that was funny how she tries to follow and leaves scorch marks on the ground.
Literally fuming and smoking.
Yeah. But then, she, once, Abba leaves, thinks that she's asleep, but she follows him and sees him turn into a big light dragon to presumably go duke it out with the Black Mist. And, she talks about how, there needed to be, an exchange of power or something that night, and just, went into this kind of interesting direction, mystical direction that I wasn't really expecting with her, since she's kind of just
But she's always thinking about the stars and how that's related to people.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It didn't seem that out of character for her.
Yeah. But it was interesting. But
and when he comes back and transfers back into a man, she sees him curse God, and that's very alarming to her.
Yeah, he's why did you take them from me? I think that he flew around, and I think he saw the synagogue burned.
Yeah.
And maybe he saw Gabriel also not alive, maybe not.
And his
I don't
mother.
know, but and his mother, because that would explain the why did you take them from me. But yeah, I think that he flew around and saw some carnage, and then he comes back and is like, why? Why'd you take them from me? And then he curses God, and that's when Levana says, I'm never going to fall in love. I'm never going to fall in love because love only brings pain. And she's having a really hard time wrestling with the current events and maintaining the faith that she was like grown up with and taught in.
Yeah.
Because like even her dad, who's like the rabbi and is supposed to be like solid as a rock in like his faith life, is saying things like, why did you take them from me? And like being mad at God openly and all this stuff.
Yeah.
She's seeing a lot of things that no small child should have to see.
Yeah.
But
well, and that she's been shielded from for so long. Yeah.
So that was the longest of her sections that we've gotten. But then we get Sarah, which she is basically just a ball of anxiety waiting for Gabriel to get back. And she wants so badly for him to come back so that she can tell him, I'm a snake.
Yeah, she really does. This is just more excellent descriptions of grief. Very potent and profound. And then she also reveals that she's afraid of her gift. And she doesn't ever want to use fire again. She just wants to create all the water.
But she says, I will fill up like glass after glass with my tears.
Yeah.
And I will never make a fire again.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, that is such like a powerful sentence. Like,
especially coming from her, who has up until this point like really like wanted to use her fire more.
Like she wants so badly to be helpful and to use her gift to be helpful.
Yeah.
But now, seeing as how Hannah can't even stand the sight of a flame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is where we have this beautiful line. Ima knows she tends to the corpses of our souls. And I just...
Ow.
Oh my gosh.
Like, literally all of your family died inside that day. Like, Hannah has been not eating or drinking and is just silent. Sarah thinks that Gavriel might be dead, gives up on using fire. Levana is having her own spiritual crisis, sees her dad curse God. Also, by the way, dad curses God now. It's just, and then there's Ima, just trying to hold the family together.
Yeah.
Just doing her best to tend to everyone's needs.
Yeah, Ima's just doing her best to hold it together for them and to like keep them alive.
Which is such a like maternal thing in my mind of like, I don't know if that's just something that like culture or our own mother like instilled, or like that's the kind of thing that you'd expect a mother to do, you know, like to really, there's just so much self-sacrifice involved with being a mother, and you see that here. She's not allowing herself the opportunity to grieve. Like she's giving that up so that she can help her family grieve themselves. It's just such like a selfless thing, and like it's not fair. Like she should be able to have the opportunity to grieve too, because like she said before, like Gavriel is already like family to them. She was saying, I don't want to lose 2 grooms in one night. And like she is obviously not in a good place either, but she is tending the corpses of their souls. And it's just wow. Just wow.
I just got goosebumps.
Rena Rossner is a true wordsmith and expertly crafts these sentences in ways to elicit emotional response.
Yeah. No, she's
very artistic.
very talented.
Yes. Yes. That's all I've got for Sarah, but was there anything else really for Sarah? So then we get Hannah's chapter, and it's 3 words. Everything is ash. And that's it. Yeah.
Heavy.
That's her chapter.
Heavy.
Yeah, that was really impactful. I'm really glad that I didn't, like, before last section we were talking about accidentally flipping forward too far and like reading. I'm really glad I didn't accidentally flip to that.
I did. That's the one I was talking about.
Oh, you did? Dang, that sucks.
Yeah.
So,
but wow. I didn't know how true
how
it was.
Intense. Yeah.
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 Because Jakob was her world and literally ashes.
Yes.
And I mentioned this before we started recording that I wanted to talk about this a little bit, which it's like not even, it's kind of apples and oranges, but at least they're both fruit. So I'm going to go there anyway. So let's talk about Twilight. No, well, in the second Twilight book, there's this chunk of time where like, oh, Edward goes away, and then like Bella's depressed, and there's like several chapters that's just like blank, and they just list the months. But like the use of blank chapters isn't done like super often, but they're usually pretty effective in conveying someone's emotional status and like grief. But I would just say that the use of that here feels much more earned in that with Bella, it's like, oh, your boyfriend broke up with you and moved away, and now you're sad about it. But here, it's like, I just watched my husband, who I just married yesterday, burn to death for marrying me. Like, I think Hannah is a little more entitled to a blank chapter for dramatic effect
Absolutely.
than Bella was in New Moon. But
absolutely,
that's just what, as soon as I saw that, it just kind of took me back to those books for a second, because that's the only other book that I've read that has really used that. But
yeah, I think
you might have some other examples of ones you've read, but for me personally, that's the only other one I've read that's really done that.
I don't have any coming to mind at the moment, but
yeah,
I agree that it was really well executed here and very appropriate and very
powerful.
Very powerful. And up until this point, Hannah's the one that has like the longest chapters. To have her go from the longest chapters, like the most informative, the most thorough, to barely anything. It's really powerful.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm kind of interpreting this as the end of Act 1, because in the next section, I just looked to see, and they have new names.
Yes.
I think we're going to see a bit of a shift. I think they're coming into a new chapter, literally. And I think that they are going to start using some alternate, different names, different identities. I think they're going to eventually find a new place to live and go by different names. So
yeah, I think I wasn't really kidding when I said they had been exiled.
Yeah.
So
yep.
They're going into witness protection mode a little bit.
Yeah. Another theme for Jewish in Jewish tradition is being exiled.
Yes.
Lots of furnaces, lots of exile, lots of bad times.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll see. I'm really predictions that I have for the rest of the book. I think that it's going to be a lot of Sarah having to come to terms with her powers and having to use them to help people. Maybe Hannah finds love again, but I doubt it. Also, Sarah does. I just forgot. I just remembered just now. Sarah does kind of make a promise to herself that she's going to remain chaste and never use fire again, and she wants to help people and like all this stuff. But I think there's going to be a bit of an arc where she realizes she has to use her fire.
Yeah. And I just remembered that she had a moment where she realized that Gabriel didn't have the talent that she had made for him to protect him.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, she was, this book.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got me feeling all kinds of things.
This was a tough section to get through.
It was.
For sure. Very well written, though. You know.
It's very well written. Very well executed.
But wow.
Yeah.
Only a third into the book. And you're coming out with this kind of emotional damage.
Yeah. Yeah, I think...
Wow.
I think you're on track with Sarah's arc. I am really curious about what is going to happen with Levana.
Yeah, same. Because I'm assuming we're going to have a bit of a time jump. I'm curious to see how, like, growing up with all of that craziness that just happened will affect her. So I guess we'll see. But
yeah, yep.
I did see that Hannah's name is going to be Anna. So now just ANNA, you know.
Wow.
It's going to be weird for you.
Yes, it will. It will.
As if you didn't already identify with her character. Now she has your name, if you didn't already.
Oh, did I identify with Hannah? Maybe just that she writes a lot.
She's the older sibling,
That's
and
true.
she writes.
That's
and
true.
now she'll have your name. So, have fun with that one.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, we will see you in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And for week 4, you will read until you get to the epigraph that includes the Book of Solomonars. Oh my gosh. Page 43, verse 7.
Okay. For the sake of my brain, how many sister cycles is that?
It is 3.
3 more
Yep.
of the sister cycles.
Yep.
Which means in a couple weeks we'll have 3 new parts for you to listen to and enjoy as we unpack all of the dastardly details of the disastrous... how many D words can I use? Daunting and daring deluge of depression.
There we go.
That is
It's like we need
Hannah's
it
life.
down on the end of this. Oh, yeah.
It'll be great.
It will be.
I'm so excited. All right. Well, until next time, happy reading.
And we'll talk at you next time.
Later.
Bye.